Because I know the material stuff has been a really big difference, kind of a game changer for visual effects, where a lot of designers have had the ability to be pretty technical over the course of like game development history. Like designers at Maxis or wherever, have historically been pretty successful at learning scripting languages. Stuff always comes first. What are your plans with this game? Our plans with this game are to release it first and foremost. We want to actually successfully create it. But it's basically it's a 2D side-scrolling game. It's a platformer. I can hit the play button real quick. We're working on the visual look right now. So we've got like our character here, Bitey, and he'll be running through these worlds very quickly and jumping and slamming into rocks and stuff like that. And it's going to tell the story of Bitey, and it's a secret story that Adam has all up in his brain. And if you remember Bitey Brackenwood from like the Flash days back in like 2006 and stuff like that, this is the same Adam Phillips who created all that, who was the artist and designer on this project. And it's supposed to be a 2D fast-paced platforming game where you get a cool story and it looks real cool. Adam's got a real nice hand-painted look for all the things that he's creating. And it looks like garbage here because I've got, garbage. It's garbage level, but he's been working on other stuff to make it all awesome and look cool. So we're probably gonna launch it on Steam and other things. The closest thing, yeah, Flash game dev. Well, it depends. There's a whole group of people who were like growing up in that time when Newgrounds was super popular and Flash was the biggest thing on the web, and there was like a whole community around that. So there are quite a few people who do remember. Okay, I was just looking at this. I was like, is this the right reset? No, this is reset function on the T-Ray. Yeah, so we're hopefully going to be launching this game on Steam and on our own website. Direct download sort of stuff. We're not going to be like shoving a bunch of DRM and crap in it. We'll see if we have any kind of multiplayer sorts of things. We're not really planning on much. We might have some secret plans on stuff, but we'll see. Multiplayer stuff usually costs money because you have to have like host servers, and that's kind of an issue, right? Because even though I am a server engineer and would be it'd be something I'd fall into our area of expertise. Alright, so that looks like our parameters are actually getting used, right? Like, that's a lot more random particles than we were having beforehand. You can see them all rushing towards the center there, doing their jobs. You used to work at EA. This isn't going to be full of microtransactions, is it? Oh, of course it will. You'll have to pay every time you hit the jump key. That's how we're gonna roll with this thing. Like the first thing that happens when the app is gonna come up, it's gonna be like, rate us, send us feedback. And lawnmowers are gonna cost like $30 each. Alright, and this, we have the life on our particles very low. Alright, yeah, so our parameters are now starting to work. That's pretty cool. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I did used to work at EA. I was working on the Facebook game stuff. It was a free-to-play game, Dragon Age Legends, and it did have microtransactions in it. I don't know, microtransactions are an interesting sort of concept. Like, I think we've all seen the South Park episode with Beelzebub about microtransactions and how games like that prey on the psychology of your players and are actually, there's not a moral gray area there. There's like a real moral gray area there. Because literally a lot of the games, especially the online like free-to-play games, are just Skinner boxes where you are the rats, we are giving you the morphine, and you're hitting the pedal to get it, and the pedal is your wallet. And it's not even like... that's kind of the sad part, is a lot of the, like the Facebook games and stuff like that, the games that weren't actually real games were the ones that were most successful. Like the ones that literally were just a high score table that you could pay to get higher on. Like literally that was the most profitable type of game on Facebook that we saw. Alright, cool. It's looking good. One reason you never got hooked up to those types of games? Yeah, I know some people, like I think one of my aunts got like super hooked on Farmville, and like I had talked to her at one point, she's like, I hate playing this game, it makes me horribly depressed, but I get like, when I'm horribly depressed, all I want to do is play the game. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, you need help. Like, it's just one of those things. Yeah, there's definitely, that's your customer. Like they've had those talks at like GDC or whatever. I think there was one where they had the creator for, what's that permadeath RPG game online, like Realm of the Mad God. They had him. They had Soren up there. They had some others. Soren was the designer for Civ 4, who we worked with on Dragon Age Legends. Talking about how like free-to-play games are like the death of creativity in the industry and stuff like that. Which I think if they're done right, like I think some games did free-to-play correctly, where they're not just exploiting the hell out of their customers. Like League of Losers did a really good job, I think. I think World of Tanks did a really good job on like not completely screwing over their customers, and at the same time getting a business model that works real well for people. But especially those Facebook games are just, and a lot of the mobile games are just, they're awful. I wish they weren't. But the problem is people buy into them, and they're successful. So that's what people do, because the company is a company. It's made to make money. I want to own your game. Thank you very much. Ah, come on, Karakan. You're just gonna, if you ever get this game when it comes out, we're just gonna sell you a license to the game. You're not gonna own it. You're not gonna have a physical copy ever. We'll hunt you down if you ever copy it onto a CD. And it's gonna be brutal. Fuck you. A devil, thank you for following. Well then, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, nah, we're hopefully with this game going to sell it. We're not gonna like say how much we're gonna sell it for. We're gonna sell it for quote unquote reasonable. Like, Adam and I aren't out here to like make $1 million bajillion. If we do make $1 million bajillion, that would be cool too, and would also mean that we actually have future games together. So that would be pretty baller. Like, any money we make on this is gonna go straight into developing other stuff. It's not gonna be like, oh man, and now I can like retire to a small castle with an even larger basement. You want a 100-page handbook? Well, I'm gonna have to chain Adam to a desk and make him just like make that handbook then. Alright, so I need to actually probably get back on task here. I mean, if I'm gonna chain Adam up to his desk, I'm gonna have to get my stuff in order first. Otherwise, he'll be the one doing the chaining. And the dude lives in Australia. He probably knows a lot about chaining people up. I don't know why Australians would know that, but somehow they do. Alright, so we've got those things parameterized. So now we're going to need to allow the water particles to exit on edge nodes of the map. Yeah, to another task. Alright, well, I'm going to be right back. I need to kind of reset my mind here. I'm a little bit distracted. So I'm going to go upstairs and I'll be right back down. Alright, so we need to allow the water particles to exit the edge nodes of the map. What was the other thing we wanted? To have water particles detect close drains and head towards them? Alright, Kento456, thanks for sticking around. Have a good rest. So water particles to exit on edge nodes of the map. So what we want to do is have like an edge kill radius sort of thing. Alright, so M32, edge of map, destruction, radius. Let's set it to something like, 10 or something like that, maybe. And let's go to our try spawn particle. Alright, so if if x is less than the edge of the map, destruction rate minus that. Alright, yeah, this should be good. Alright, so x plus edge of destruction map radius is greater than or equal to m width, or what is it going to be? Y minus, it's going to be less than or equal to 0, or y plus is greater than or equal to m height. Return, and then we're going to go down here for in our ticks. Is greater than or equal to map.in width, or my minus is less than or equal to 0, or my plus is greater than or equal to map.in height. Turn false. mx, it is in position.x. Alright. Alright, that works. Alright, so we want particles to detect close drains and head towards them. Well, they already have a destination for their drain, for these particles moving around. So what is this supposed to do? Well, it's basically supposed to this is basically for these waterfalls or whatever. Oh man, yeah. Okay, so let me think about this. This has to do with let me draw this out just to make sure I'm not absolutely insane. So let's say we've got our stuff here, and we've got our outflow thing here for our this will be our outflow. What we want to do is, I think we want to draw kind of this zone here, you know, in data, and if we're a particle moving around here, right here, I want to go towards this zone if I'm close enough. Like, I'm trying to go towards my destination, and the destination is like right here. So I'm going to be going in that direction, but the drain is over here. I should head towards it. So, I mean, how should we detect it? Should we send off like some feelers? Like we could have a square sensor for this, and we could go towards it? I mean, I think just a square sensor, so maybe we can like head off by like 10 pixels or something and see if we like encounter a drain. So we're gonna need a map here of drain nodes, and we want to just do an instant lookup on it. So we're gonna need a map of drainage areas. We need to detect those areas close to ourselves. Alright, so we're going to need to create this map and do that, and we need to look towards that area and go towards it if we can. And that's going to replace our... What sort of weight should we have on this? Is this level design? I guess not. That would be spoilerific anyway. Well, I mean... The level design and game design stuff. Also, welcome, Lucas, if you're just joining us back again. It's one of the things, like, Adam's going to have to be doing a whole bunch of work on, like, the actual levels, and we're going to have to figure out what we can actually stream, because we'll have some levels, right, that are going to be... Yeah, the final boss is the fluid simulation. Because we're not going to be able to stream, like, all the cool stuff, right? So I think we'll be streaming, like, us working on systems, and then kind of off-screen we'll be building the actual levels. So you guys will probably see the backgrounds and all those scenes of things, and maybe some other things, but you're not going to be seeing the real stuff. I think we're gonna have to draw the line somewhere. Like, you won't be able to see some enemies in work. So we'll see. Maybe we'll make it like a subscriber only stream on Adams or something. And like stream some spoilers or something, right? You never know. Anyway, I think just throwing some sensors off on these particles for a drain and then heading towards it with a drain weight. Add a new drain detect weight, because it might want to override some of our avoidance. It's like, if we're right next to an outflow, we need to head for that. You know, like, water needs to exit quickly. Okay, so that means we need to add geometry to our detected flow zones. I don't mind spoilers for a glimpse beyond the stage. Yeah, there's some stuff that... Like, we got some code names for a few things. That Adam and I used. So I think we've talked about a few things on stream using code names and nobody's figured it out. So it's all good. We can get a glimpse after too. Yeah, you'll get a glimpse of all the spoilers when you actually play the game. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should do for heading towards a drain area. I guess we can kind of take away the drain radius. If we need to. Yeah, okay. We'll just do this. Alright, so our map is going to need... We've got our path lookup. It's a T-array of bools. Alright. Our collision map. Here we go. Okay, so we need a T-array of bools. And it's going to be M drain map. So we need to create this drain map. Alright, so we're going to need this init function. Drain map.init. Let's init it to false, and then m width times m height. You watch the audio commentary more often than the movie? Well, if you're interested in like the director's commentary and stuff, like I know like Starship Troopers is like a kind of a cult classic sci-fi movie. But man, the director's commentary on that thing is great. It's really funny because like one of the characters in that movie dies. Spoilers, somebody dies in that movie. Yeah. It was really hilarious. Like they screened the game. I mean, not the game, but the movie. And everybody was like super pissed off that, you know, like, you killed the wrong girl was like the the biggest feedback they got, and the director was so pissed. It's just like, you guys don't understand. You don't understand. Like, why do you hate the girl who like went off and had her own life and career? Why do you all hate that? Like, that's supposed to be like the amazing empowerment of women. You know, like this guy who's like stuck in the past and is, you know, everybody loves that guy who's just like, you know, the grunt in the trenches, like mindlessly murdering everything. Like, oh yeah, he's the hero. Like, no, the woman, she got like this great job. She's like a captain of a ship now. Like, and everybody fucking hates her for it. She's like, you guys are all assholes. I hate everyone. It was real funny. All right, so we got our drain map. So on our pathfinding stuff, we're gonna need to init this, and when we init it, we're gonna want to. Yeah, where do we actually call init on this thing? Write particles out.init. All right, so we call init here, and we do setup for map, calculate geometry, discover flow objects. All right, discover flow objects is going to need to add the flow objects to the map. So we're gonna have on this flow path map a void add flow object, and yeah, it'll be water flow object. So we'll go ahead and add that. All right, so let's go through for every water flow object in outputs. All right, so yeah, it should be every output is going to mark itself as an output. Yeah, they were like, it was AC for Willard. I don't think I've seen that one. Alright, so we're going to do immap.add flow object. I should call this not add flow object, I should call this at flow output. And let's do object. Okay, so for a flow object, we're going to need to actually add all the drains for it. And we're also going to want to do a boolean here for like bool space is drain, and int32x, int32y, you calculated flow field, blarg in there. And we're going to do bool space is drain f vector 2d reference. That should be a reference right there. For all that, let's fix that real quick. Space is sure, this should be a reference, just so we're not copying that if we don't have to. Cool. Rather weird than Splatterhood. Okay. Maybe I'll have to watch it sometime. Alright, so we add our flow path output here. What does our flow path output actually have? It's a water flow object, it's got a position, and it's got radius. What the hell is the position of this stuff? So we have a position, a radius, a weight, and like all this sorts of stuff. And like I think our flow path map, we've got these calculated flow path things. Alright, calculate path. Alright, so we need to get this grid square for world position to figure out our x and our y. And we're going to want to get the input position for all of our different spots here. So we've got our extents and our positions. So alright, so if this is a box, we'll do something, otherwise we're not. So we've got our center. So if this is a box, we want to find in 32 left x, right x, top y, bottom y. So we're going to get left x, right x, top y and bottom y. And this is going to be get grid square for position. We're going to do position plus object.mExtents. And this one will be minus the object.mExtents. Or is that opposite? I think it's opposite. We'll see. So basically for int 32 x equals left x, x is less than or equal to right x, plus plus x. For int 32 y equals what, top y, y is less than or equal to bottom y, plus plus y. You're going to want to say the 32 index equals x plus y times m width. So if x is less than 0, or x is greater than or equal to m width, or y is less than 0, or y is less than we don't need to iterate over all this crap if we don't have to. Alright, so if left x is less than 0, left x equals 0. If left, yeah, God, what a bunch of trash. Do we have a clamp for all this? Yeah, we do. Okay, so left x, 0 and width. That's handy that they actually have a clamp method. I was like, am I going to have to go write a clamp method? What's this bitching about? I like it. This is saying it's an N32 and this one is saying it's an int. Ah, good job, Visual Studio. Good job. They're smart. SMRT. Alright, so that should make it so it's all clamped together properly, so it'll slap them to the extents as we need them. So all we have to do is write to our drain map, just write true to it, and we'll be good to go. Now, is there a clever way to draw a frickin' circle? I mean, probably, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of really dumb ways we could draw a circle. Why don't we pick a dumb way to draw a circle? Like this seems like a good plan. So let's just draw a box and then just like do a distance check because I don't really give a damn. Alright, so in32, let's just do, yeah, for in32, x equals, we've got this x here, let's do center x and center y. Alright, so for x equals center x minus object.m radius, x is less than or equal to center x plus object.m radius plus x, or in32y equals center y minus object.m radius. Y is less than or equal to center y plus object.m radius plus y. Alright, so float distance equals y minus center y plus, times y minus center y. You know, your old distance formula. Garbage. Gotta love garbage. X minus center x. So if object.m radius times object.m radius is greater than the distance squared, then continue. So we're basically just like drawing a box but then doing a distance check every time, because a circle is not a trivial data structure to iterate over, as far as I know, as far as I remember. I don't, maybe it is and I just don't know the correct way to do it. But this doesn't matter because we're doing this once. Alright, so what we want to do is if x is less than 0, or x is greater than or equal to m width, or y is less than 0, or y is greater than or equal to m height, continue. Otherwise, in32 index equals x plus y times m width, then m drain map sub index equals true. And you know, things like this where, you know, I could write this as one line of code. I don't know, my coding style is always just to explode stuff out a little bit. So it's because the compiler is going to optimize this crap anyway for us. I don't think it really matters. Alright, so that should do our flow output. I don't know, I like to just write the code as simply as possible, even if it's kind of stupid. Like, you know, for int x, y, or whatever. We don't need for loops, 2 for loops for this, right? It's unnecessary. This is on the calculated flow field. So let's make sure we got these drains actually set up properly. I'm gonna kind of walk through it. I think I'll print it out real quick, and that way I can kind of see what's going on with it. Just to make sure it's correct, because I'm not sure if the y coordinate is proper. The other question would be, do I want to draw it out as a texture? Cannot access private member of this. Why is it private? Because I do a lot of things with code that some people don't like. Like, you'll see in the C++ class, I like have public, and then like I have public again, and then public again, and then public again, and then public again, and then private. I like to organize the class kind of by function. So like everything that's like used by blueprints is in like one kind of little block, and then like everything that's public but not used by anybody. And these are like variables that are kind of grouped together by what they're doing. And usually I'll comment them. And like some people look at that and be like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? You're an idiot. You need to clean this shit up. And those people are probably right, but that's okay. They can be right all day. So we'll get some of this run along here. And one of the interesting things about coding and also streaming on Twitch, and one of the reasons I didn't do it for quite a while there, even though Adam streams all the time, is because I thought I'd be like incredibly distracted. And yes, I do get incredibly distracted, but what I've found is that by streaming, I actually will sit down for a longer amount of time and actually code without like pulling up the internet and like getting distracted. Because otherwise what happens is like I'm working on something and then like a compile step happens. And you just kind of, like, ah, Jesus, this again. And you go pull up Facebook or Reddit or something, and then all of a sudden 30 minutes have passed. Yeah, I don't want people to see me being lazy. It's true. That's like one of those techniques that, like if you're a really messy person and like can never clean your room or your house and leave dishes around and shit, just invite people over. And all of a sudden, you have a boundless amount of energy to just clean everything in your place. And you're like, yeah, I want to look like a slob. Ah, Jesus Christ. Alright, so let's see. This is not a box. So let's see what the center X and Y are. Of course, we can't see them. 507 and 265. Okay, so center. Do we have Y and center Y? No. Object M radius is the 0. Is it though? Is it actually? This object is waterfall out. It has a radius of 0s. Well, let's go take a look at that. Radius of 2000 for waterfall in. We have the extents on this thing. Waterfall out and waterfall out 2. Oh yeah, well I need to set that this is a box. Let's actually set this box to false. And then we'll be able to look at both real quick. And let's just say that O.M radius equals 1000. I don't know. We'll just see how it looks. You just spent $33 on groceries. Is that a lot for one person? Well, what kind of dollars are you talking about? Because if that's like Zimbabwe dollars, then you know, like, dude, I hope you can survive on, like, you know, like 2 grains of rice. But I'll go to the store and, like, if I'm spending money for stuff, like, you know, that seems pretty reasonable. Depends on what you're buying. If you're buying, like, you know, eggs or something, you know, that should be like a couple bucks, you know, max. So you can get out of there if you're just buying healthy food or whatever to cook your own stuff, you know, under 20 bucks, no problem. I just bought an egg for $30? Damn, dude. That better be like an ostrich egg or something. You're cooking up some dinosaur eggs in your oven. Or you get like a giant pot to put them in and boil them. You need motivation to cook. Alright, so we got our box here. Let's get our blah 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 blah. It's all inlining this, so you can't see it. Left X is 495. Right X is 512. Top Y is 115, bottom Y is 375. 115? Or 155 to 375? That seems wrong. Like getting the grid square position there seemed correct. Like center X and center Y. And then we're getting our radius, and our radius is 1000. This radius needs to be converted into actual units. So radius is going to have to be like m width and height something. Hello, two-handed strike. If you're watching a program thing, it's probably Hot Pockets. Oh man. Alright, so you're saying you're trying to debug simple program with Visual Studio, but you breakpoint right after cout, but nothing is displayed in the console. Well, probably it's not going to log to the console directly like that with cout, right? Because, you know, maybe the window needs to be updated and stuff like that. I think if you do like a debug printf console specifically for Visual Studio output, it might show up in the console, but I wouldn't think that that's unexpected behavior. And yeah, if you're doing C++, yeah, the community versions are really good. That's what I'm using right now. So yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do, two-hand strike. I know for the debug output stuff for consoles, it can be kind of difficult in Visual Studio to always get that to work how you want. You could try running your command on the, you know, via the command line or something. It might output it there. But I know the output window down here can be kind of, I don't know, it can be tricky sometimes. VS Code? Let's see. I've never used VS Code, so I'm just kind of looking at it real quick. Alright, so you got your own thing going on there. First provision coding in C++, solution is C#. Ah, man, the former CC, that's so mean though. If the guy's trying to learn, the guy's trying to learn. So, yeah, I'm sorry I can't really help you too much with that one. Hell no, that shit. Alright, fight. There's if you're gonna learn something to start with, I would recommend learning C++ or C or something like that. It helps you out later. Like if you're starting with a memory managed language, I think you're kind of doing it wrong. But that's only if you're learning like in a college course or something. You got time to actually go make mistakes. If you're just a hobbyist, then I don't really give a shit what you learn. So, yeah, I would say with debugging stuff, the best thing to do, make sure your code actually runs. Output windows can be kind of tricky. They don't always flush to that. So maybe there's some sort of cout flush that you need to call or whatever. I don't really remember that too much. It's been a while since I did anything with cout. Yeah, you might need to just call cout.flush on that, and that might actually make it appear in the console for you. Not sure though. Might. For me to reproduce your issue, I'd probably have to go get VS Code and all that stuff, and I don't really feel like doing all that right now. So, unless you ask me super nicely, in which case I'll probably just still ignore it. So what I'm probably doing here with this add flow output is this flow output has got its like X and Y reversed for its extents, and that's why it's screwed up. So let me just build this real quick and take a look at it in the world and see if I'm correct that maybe I flipped the extents on this thing. I already tried flush. It didn't work. Well, shit. And if you just let the program exit or whatever, right, it's not printing out either. I assume that you've already done that. Let me just see if there's anything on the Googles. So there might be some sort of subsystem stuff, I guess. So what's saying is that you might not have built your program so it actually outputs to the console. Doesn't print anything. I would check your build settings and make sure you actually have a console for your output window for that, because I'm pretty sure like cout or whatever standard out doesn't go anywhere, and when you're actually in the editor, I mean in Visual Studio or whatever, I think I remember something about needing to use the actual like Windows function to output to the output window at the bottom of the screen. But it's been such a long time since I screwed around with that stuff that I'm not a good resource for the couts. Alright, so let's put this up real quick. I'm gonna check these extents. So this is XYZ, so it's 2000 high. The width is 2450. No, the width should be 15,000, so it should be wider than it is deep. And the X is the depth. So let's see, I had this box here. There's the thing, this trigger box. Let's just see, I've got the extents right there. I'll just copy them down so I can look at them. Yeah, those can be some of the most frustrating things on the planet sometimes. It's like, you know, just doing something simple like printing out to the damn console can sometimes turn into some ridiculous holy war. And you know the answer is like one line of something. And you're just like, I just wanted to print out the console. Why is this so difficult? Like, this shouldn't be this hard. So, I feel your pain. I've been in your location. And sometimes the simplest things are terrifying. Alright, so if we take a look at our texture, our x coordinates, we'd expect our y coordinates to be wide. So a big thing in our y, and our x should be pretty small, and our x should end at 512. So we might actually have the correct values. I like to go through and be a little bit specific with some of these numbers to make sure that they're actually correct, because there's so many times I screw something up and I take a long time because I'm not. Yeah, so left x and right x totally should be like this, and this should be like 155 to 375. So yeah, that looks totally correct. Alright, so now I need to transform this radius from world space into the texture space on the water. I think you'll go back to Visual Studio Community. That's sometimes an option, is just to be like, you know what? This isn't my fucking problem. You just walk out, right? So, hopefully things go well for you. That's one thing that I've learned in life, is sometimes failure is the best option. You know, just be like, hey, should we actually do this thing? And then like, but it's really difficult. And you're like, all right, well, let's just fail to do it then, and just not. It's like, should we have real-time chat for our closed beta or something? And you're just like, well, it's not gonna work.